Hello to all my dear students. I, Sakshi Singh, welcome you all to my YouTube channel. Well, yeah, I know that I'm here after a big gap, but yes, I am here with a very beautiful story that is a truly beautiful mind. Okay, and detailed explanation of the lesson along with the meanings of the difficult words. I hope you would enjoy. Let's see. So here is the video. Okay, you can see I'm going to play the video that it's all about Albert Einstein. Now, so dear students, a truly beautiful mind, is a summary of the biography of famous scientist who all must be knowing about it, Albert Einstein. The story basically portrays the other side of his life that it concerns and promotes human welfare. And that is the reason why the title of the story is A Truly Beautiful Mind. Well, let's see what is there as introductory part of this chapter. So this chapter is all about Albert Einstein and his life. He was a great scientist. The title of the chapter, A Truly Beautiful Mind, refers to Albert Einstein. So this is a short biography of his where some of his qualities have been highlighted. Okay. And Albert's interest in mathematics and physics and also his humanitarian attribute. And of course, he advocated world peace, non-violence, and that is why the title refers to him as a truly beautiful mind. What is a theme? Well, if you see the theme, so it's all about the brief sketch, his life, his achievements, his early years, childhood, his adulthood, his college days, everything. The title, well, it's an appropriate title as it encompasses both the intelligence of Einstein and his humanistic tendencies. As a genius, he made an immense contribution to the world of science by presenting startling theories and as a human being. He preached for peace and democracy. What is the message here? So, this account of the life and personality of the famous scientist Einstein gives us the message that a beautiful mind possesses not only innovative ideas but also makes sincere efforts to use these ideas for the well being of the country. Now, here you can see that few slides. Okay, the story is basically bifurcated, fine, in a different scene. So first is that you can say that Albert as uncommon. When he learned to speak, he spoke everything to us. He was boring for other children, so he played by himself much of the time. And he loved mechanical toys. Looking at his newborn sister, that is Marja, he asked where her wheels were. Then Albert believes the headmaster. The story is about. Then he leaves school for good, obviously. Education in Switzerland. These are the different parts of the story. Then he falls in love there. He goes to the university. And yes, you can prepare some questions, okay, just as a kind of a question bank. Okay, so it will be easy for you to infer the meaning from the chapter itself. Okay, so here I am going to start with a detailed explanation along with the difficult words before you all. My dear students, I will be taking the explanation paragraph wise, okay, and according to the page number. So let's start with the first page, that is the first paragraph. Now here, the first paragraph says, Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879 in the German city of Ulm without any indication that he was destined for greatness. On the contrary, his mother thought Albert was a freak. To her, his head seemed much too large. Now here, the meaning of difficult word that is destined, it means that fate, okay? A predetermined set of events that has to happen in the future. So now here, Albert Einstein was born on 14th March 1879. When he was a child, no one could predict that one day he would become a great scientist. He was like all the other children. But you know what, and on the contrary, what his mother thought about. Freak means, it's a word used disapprovingly to talk about a person who is unusual and doesn't behave or look or think like others. So here, Albert's mother thought that Albert was a freak. You know why? Because he did not behave, talk, or look like normal people. He was different from other children of his age. So he behaved abnormal. You know what? That it seemed as if he had lesser intelligence in comparison to other children. And Albert's mother thought that the little boy's head, was a bit too big in comparison to other children's head. Fine. Then at the age of 2.5, Einstein still wasn't talking. So Albert Einstein started talking actually when he was 2.5 years of age. And when he finally did learn to speak, he uttered everything twice. So finally, when Einstein started speaking, he used to repeat the words. Fine. And after that, what happened? If we talk about the next passage here, Einstein did not know what to do with other children, and his playmates called him Brother Boring. His playmates used to call him Brother Boring because he remained to himself, he did not play or talk to them. So the youngster played by himself much of the time. So here Einstein remained to himself all the time. Okay, and he used to play with himself only. So if you talk about, let's move further, the next page. So he especially loved mechanical toys. Looking at his newborn sister Martha, he said to have said, "Fine, but where are her wheels?" So here, if we talk about that from the very beginning, since his childhood, he loved mechanical toys. Such toys in which some kind of machinery was used, such as automated cars, automated airplanes. Okay, and when his sister was born and he looked at her, he could not see her feet. Okay, so he was wondering where the baby's wheels were. So means he is referring her feet to wheels. That means the feet of the baby. As Albert Einstein used to play with toys, and all the toys had a set of wheels. So to him, Mara seemed to be a toy too. And so he might have thought that where were her wheels? Well, the next paragraph. A headmaster once told his father that what Einstein chose as a profession wouldn't matter because he will never make success at anything. Einstein began learning to play the violin at the age of 6 because his mother wanted him to be. He later became a gifted amateur violinist, maintaining this skill throughout his life. So here, the headmaster of Einstein's school, told Einstein's father that Einstein would never be successful in whatever profession he chose. So Einstein was a very good violinist actually. He learned playing the violin or at the age of 6 because his mother wanted him to learn to play. So all his life, he was an amateur violinist. He played the violin as a hobby, not as a profession. But Albert Einstein, you know what? Albert Einstein was not a bad pupil. He went to high school in Munich, where Einstein's family had moved when he was 15 months old and scored good marks in almost every subject. So, if you talk about Albert Einstein was a very good student, he went to a school in Munich because his family had moved from to Munich when he was only 15 months old and scored very good marks in almost every subject. So Einstein hated the school's regimentation and often clashed with his teachers. So the school where Einstein went had a very strict discipline, which he disliked. So due to that, he often clashed with his teachers opinions and opposed them. Fine. So at the age of 15, Einstein felt so stifled there that he left the school for good. Okay, then what is the explanation here? Stifled means unable to breathe, suffocated. And left the school for good means he left the school forever. So what is the explanation here? Einstein was so much suffocated in that school, he could not follow the strict discipline. And so he left the school forever. Now the next line. The previous year, Albert's parents had moved to Milan, okay, and left their son with relatives. When Albert Einstein left the school, okay, 1 year before that, his parents had moved to another city, and Milan, which is in Italy, Albert was left behind in Munich with his relatives. Now, if you talk about after prolonged discussion, Einstein got his wish to continue his education in German-speaking Switzerland, in a city which was more liberal than me. So, what is the explanation here? The school in Munich was very strict. Then Albert could not follow all the discipline over there, and he had a long discussion with his family, relatives, and finally, his parents agreed to put him in a school in Switzerland. And the language used there for communication was German. So Einstein was highly gifted in mathematics and interested in physics. Okay. And after finishing school, he decided to study at a university in Zurich. But science wasn't the only thing that appealed to the dashing young man with the bulbous mustache. So here, let me explain it to you. Einstein was good at studies. Okay, and he was highly gifted in mathematics. So he was exceptionally good in mathematics, and he also had an interest in physics. So science was not the only thing that appealed to Einstein, who was a very handsome young man. Other than science, he had an interest in something else also. Okay, so let's see to the next page. What is there? Okay. So he also felt a special interest in a fellow student, Milliver Merrick, okay, whom he found to be a clever creature. So other than maths and physics, Albert Einstein liked one of his fellow students. Her name was Milliver Merrick. He thought that she was very clever, sharp, and so this young Serb had come to Switzerland because the university in Zurich was one of the few in Europe where women could get degrees. Can you imagine? So they met at the University of Zurich. Mileva Maric belonged to Serbia. Okay, that is why she is called Serb. So she came from Serbia to Switzerland because the university in Zurich, was one of the few universities in Europe which gave degrees to female students. Okay, now let's see further. Einstein saw in her an ally against the Philistines, those people in his family and at the university with whom he was constantly odds. Ally means a friend, okay, and Philistine means a word used disapprovingly to talk about, people who do not like art, literature, or music. So to be, you can say that to be an odds means to be in the opposition of something, to be against something. Okay. So what is the explanation here? Einstein felt that Mileva was a friend because she also liked art, literature, or music. Both shared this common interest. In those days, having interest in art, literature, or music was not considered to be good. So those people who were interested in art, literature, or music used to call their opponents Philistines. Albert Einstein's family, and many people in the university were not in favor of this. So, against such people, Albert Einstein and Mileva Merrick's unity helped them face the situation. Fine. So, again, let's see the couple fell in love. Letters survive in which they put their affection into words. mixing science and with tenderness, wrote Einstein, "How happy and proud I shall be when we both have brought our work on relativity in a victorious conclusion." What does it say? What's the explanation? So Albert Einstein and Mileva Merrick, they both fell in love and they exchanged love letters to express their feelings. Okay. So they used to write such kind of letters, okay, where they used to mix science with their feelings. At one instance, okay, so listen to me. At one instance, Einstein talked about his scientific invention and said that he would be very proud on that day when they would finally conclude their paper on the theory of relativity. So passage, okay, then if we talk about in 1900, at the age of 21, Albert Einstein was a university graduate and unemployed. He worked as a teaching assistant, gave private lessons, finally secured a job in 1902 as a technical expert, the patent office in Bonn. While he was supposed to be assessing other people's inventions, Einstein was actually developing his own ideas in secret. So he is said to have jokingly called his desk drawer at the work the Bureau of Theoretical Physics. Okay, so now what is the explanation of this eighth paragraph? In the year 1900, Albert Einstein was 21 years of age. Okay, and he completed his graduation from the university, but he was unemployed. From 1900 to 1902, Albert Einstein was working as a teaching assistant, and gave private lessons also. So finally, in 1902, he got a job in Bern. So Bern, basically, it's a city where it is in Germany. He got the job of a technical officer in a patents office in Bern. So Einstein was supposed to check the inventions done by other people and give them a patent. On the other hand, secretly, he was making his own inventions too. So Einstein later said the desk on which he worked was the Office of Theoretical Physics because there only he started working on his invention. Okay. So now what the next paragraph says? Okay, that is paragraph 9. Well, the paragraph 9 says there is a word here, absolute. Okay, so here absolute means it's measured in itself. Okay, means not in relation to anything else, not relation to anything else. So in the year 1905, Einstein published his first paper. It was about spatial theory of relativity. So in this publication, it was written that the measurement of time and distance is not absolute. It dependent on something else. So according to the theory, if there are two clocks and both are moving, so they will not show the same time. One clock will move faster than the other. So here, if you talk about, so this theory of relativity gave us this basic formula of physics, E mc square. Okay, so here E stands for energy, M for mass of the object, and C for the speed of the light in a vacuum. Vacuum, you all know that. What does vacuum means? So vacuum means where there is no air and the speed of light in vacuum is almost 300,000 kilometer per second. So to put it into very simpler words, Einstein said that when you sit with a nice girl for 2 hours, it seems like 2 minutes. So on the other hand, when you sit on a hot stove for 2 minutes, it seemed like 2 hours. That's relativity. So a person would feel the timing different. Okay. So while Einstein was solving the most difficult problem in physics, his private life was, you can say that it's at stake. Albert had wanted to marry Mileva right after finishing his study. So basically his private life was unraveling. Unraveling means starting to fail. So though he was solving the complicated problem in physics for the world, his personal life started becoming problematic. He started to fail in his personal life. So Albert had wanted to marry Mileva right after finishing his studies, but his mother was against it. So Albert Einstein wanted to marry Mileva, married soon after he finished his studies, but his mother was against. So his mother thought that Mileva Merrick, who was 3 years elder to Albert Einstein, was very old for him. Okay, and so his mother thought that Mileva was very intelligent to be a wife, and she told Einstein that Mileva was also like a book and was similar to him. As his mother was against this marriage, he cancelled his wedding with Mileva. So the pair finally married in January 1903 and had 2 sons. So Albert Einstein finally he married Mileva Merrick in the year 1903 and they had 2 sons. Okay. But a few years later, the marriage faltered. Faltered means became weak. So their marriage failed. As Mileva Merrick was very intelligent, so being a housewife, she could not cope with her ambition. So she could not fulfill her ambitions and so on. She started becoming unhappy. And after a couple of years, both of them they got divorced. And Einstein married his cousin Elsa the same. Okay. So now this is all about Einstein's personal life. So like if you talk about Einstein's new personal chapter that is coincided with his rise to world fame. Okay, and the time Einstein married Elsa, another thing coincided, and it was Einstein's rise to world fame. Einstein became world famous, okay, and everyone acknowledged him as a great scientist. So in 1915, because of what does this entire paragraph say? So in the year 1919, there was a solar eclipse, which proved that Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity was correct. Okay, so here is a word deflected. So it means that changed direction because it hit something. Fine. So Albert Einstein had calculated in the year 1915 that in the year 1919 there would be a solar eclipse. Due to it, the apparent position of the stars would change to some extent. So his calculation was accurate. So it was announced that Albert Einstein's work was a scientific revolution. Okay. So then after that, what happened? He awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in the year 1921. And he was honored and was invited to various places all over the world. Even the press praised. So when the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, okay, so I'm just talking about this paragraph. So what does this paragraph say? So in 1933, when Germany came under the power of Nazis, okay, the famous Nazi ruler was Adolf Hitler. At that time, Einstein left Germany and shifted to United States of America forever. Okay. After 5 years, Germany discovered the process of nuclear fission, the process through which nuclear bombs or atom bombs are made. This process was prepared in Berlin. Due to this, all the physicists in America were upset as they feared misuse of the technology. So, many of them had fled from places and just as Einstein had, and now they were afraid the Nazis could build and use an atomic bomb. So basically here, if we talk about all the scientists were afraid that the Nazis could misuse the atomic bomb. So now let's see the next page here now. Now paragraph 15, what does it say? Albert Einstein was requested by a colleague and so he wrote a letter to the President of America, Franklin D. Roosevelt, on 2nd August 1939. He warned him that the atomic bomb, which was developed by Germany, was very powerful. And if one of these If one of these bombs exploded on any part, it would not only destroy the area, but also it would destroy the surrounding territory. So this shows Einstein's humanitarian quality. He wanted good for the people, actually, and he wanted peace in the world. That is why he wrote his concern to the President of America and won. So next, so Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of the destruction. Fine. So then after that, what happened? So Einstein was deeply shaken by the extent of the destruction. So this time, you know what, that he wanted to bring peace. Okay. Somehow he wanted to bring peace. A lot of destruction took place and Einstein was shaken. So what do you mean by shaken here? It's basically it was totally shocked. Okay, and he wrote an official letter to the United Nations organization. So Albert Einstein proposed to form a world government, but this letter did not bear any fruit. So for another 10 years, Albert Einstein was involved in world peace. He was involved in politics and his agenda. What is his agenda? So his agenda was to stop the countries involved in collecting arms and developing them. So he campaigned for world peace and democracy. His main agenda was world peace and freedom of people. So Einstein could foresee the future. Basically, I'm talking about the last paragraph. Okay, foresee the future. When he died in 1955 at the age of 76, the world celebrated him as a visionary. So he was a world citizen and of course, he is a scientific genius too. So now with this, I'm going to end this chapter. I hope that the explanation and along with the explanation of difficult words would definitely going to help you out. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.